he comes, of course. No. All right, Coach Briggs is joining us. I see some people are still listening here, so we'll go ahead and roll this real fast. If not, get practice.
I can't, unfortunately. Sorry.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for joining us. Unfortunately, first time we have you on, and unfortunately it's a loss. So hopefully we'll get this down better next time. But thanks for joining us here today. Obviously, it's kind of disheartening, and you came here last year and won the first game this year, and it looked like this was number one team coming in. That you got to feel pretty good. But I guess how the boys taking it so far? Obviously not good, but
not good. And I told them, what we want to do is do better than we did last year. Now that's the only goal ahead of us now is try to take third instead of fourth, and not end the season on a 2-game losing streak. But we've accomplished a lot this year, and we picked a bad night to not rebound as well as we normally do, and we didn't defend as well as we normally do. And I felt real good about where we were at halftime, considering Michael Martin just was on fire, and he was making some really tough shots. And we were down, 33-26 at halftime, and I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, we weathered the storm, and we cut it to 37-34 there in the third quarter. Then we just went flat out just dry. We didn't score for a while. When we would get a defensive stop, they'd get an offensive rebound, and that was the difference in the game. And then, we just missed some shots that have been falling for us, and we took way too many threes. Of course, some of those came late, but we just didn't make them.
Yeah, of course, the end score, the final score doesn't indicate that. If you guys played it straight up, it probably been a 12-point game. But you talked earlier about the matchup problems, and they did indeed spread the floor and create a lot of problems. Of course, Martin the first half, but some of their other kids that either dribble, drive, and pass to somebody that hit their shot, or just flat out. I think a huge thing was driving and getting to the free throw line. 26 of 32 from the line, I believe they were, something off the top of my head.
Actually, they were 28 for 34, so we got outscored 34-7 at the free throw line.
Yeah.
And he ain't gonna win doing that. Of course, a lot of those free throws were late and they didn't miss, and we had too many times that we just didn't score on the coming back. They'd make 2 free throws, we'd come down and have empty trips too many times. But Lucas Mine stepped up and hit a couple of threes late, and really, showed what he could do. And but we just didn't get anybody else to the basket, and we just kind of, kids kind of panicked once you get down quite a bit and just start, throwing some bad shots up there at the end.
We talked about your size coming in, and it seemed like they kind of negated it, or at least always just seemed to be quicker. You'd have 2 or 3 guys right there for rebound, and a smaller guy would kind of snake in and grab that rebound. I guess they seemed to neutralize your size today, didn't they?
Yeah, and I thought 0-0 for them came in and really gave them a big lift.
Timothy Hamilton
had 4 offensive rebounds. I guarantee you, every one of those prolonged a possession, and we, our scouting report was spot on. We just didn't really carry it out as well as we wanted. And they're a good team. We could play those guys again, and I don't know what the outcome would be. It's pretty easy for me to say we'd win, but I think on a lot of different nights, things could happen differently.
That's what happens when you get here. You look at seeds and records and all that, but I hate to be too cliche, but we find it out, especially here. You can erase it and throw it out the window, and you never know what can happen. So.
Oh, yeah. NBA does a best-of-7 series, and there's blowouts, and then another team comes back the next day. It's all about adjustments, and they did a good job. They got a nice team, and they've been on a good run here at the end of the season. And they beat, like Wichita East in the season, who I believe, beat Wichita Heights. So, they beat the best teams in the state. They've also lost some of those games. And I got to believe that we hit them on a pretty good night. And obviously, they did a nice job, as a team scouting us. And they had some guys step up. You think about Michael Martin, I think, is a really nice player, had 26 points on us. And, we had our best defenders on him. And he was still scoring. So, he just had a good performance, just like the Bishop Carroll kid on Wednesday had 37. That kind of comes out of the blue because he's never had that many. It's just sometimes kids step up in these environments, and you never know who it's going to be.
Yeah, so most certainly, and you never know. You don't get to see these matchups, and And I don't know how many times Lansing, they seem to be content with spreading the floor and taking you off the dribble drive. And I don't know how many times you have seen that. And you've seen, obviously, big teams like yourself with Baser and such who you don't really care probably that they won in overtime to go to the state final. But you did play good teams, and definitely during the year. But, I mean, did you guys ever see a team kind of like this?
Actually, Mill Valley spread us out, and that's how they beat us, kind of the same recipe. So, I mean, we definitely had that deficiency, apparently. And then you got to have kids make shots. I mean, we had other teams try to do it a little bit during the season, but we got up on a lead, and you can't do that when you're behind. So it just didn't work for very long. But if you stay with you and you get a lead, you can stay with it.
2 more questions. I'll probably ask them tomorrow if you come back out here. First of all, I guess talk about what the younger kids can take away here, 20-4. Another game tomorrow, of course, but coming back next year, you still have a heck of a lot of juniors and sophomores.
Oh yeah, I mean our team next year could be better than this year's team, but they're going to have to work, and we've got a lot of growing up to do, as you can see on the floor tonight. We got some pretty talented young players, but they sometimes do some things that make my hair go gray, and I'm sure with maturity, that's what you get with sophomores. We got a young team. We got a lot of good players in our program right now, and we want to be a fixture here at the state tournament. But like I told them, I said we try to win it this year because you can't take it for granted. Look at Olathe Northwest. I mean, they got 2 Division I players, and they didn't get out of sub-state, so nothing is for granted. And so you got to continue working, and you got to do all the right things, not just doing basketball-wise, but you got to get in the weight room, and you got to get stronger. You got to get everything solid in the classroom and all areas to be successful. And so that's going to be our point of emphasis, obviously, in the off season.
And of course, your seniors with Miller, Jones, Sig, and of course Grice. I guess talk about they still have one more game, and I guess that'll probably be a big focus tomorrow. Let's go out with a W, but go ahead and talk about your senior class.
Oh, I tell you what, my seniors are awesome. I can't ask for a better group, and Isaiah has had an absolutely outstanding year, but you look at what Chris does, and you do what Mike did, and I'm pretty fortunate to have 2 big guys like those 2, and then DeVarian, and then a lot of people forget Cameron Decker was our leading scorer before Christmas. We lost him, mid-season, but that was after he tried to fight through a back injury for a month and just wasn't able to play. So, we really have a nice group of guys, and I'm sure they'll go out tomorrow and play well. Last year we did, and I think playing the early game hopefully gives us an advantage.
Well, thanks again for coming on tonight, and hopefully tomorrow we talk to you. It'll be a win and 3rd place flat going home. So thanks a lot.
Thanks.